10
I think for
seconds
IAP, they went all in on the brood counters a bit too much. They flexed their tide into the
seconds
support role for
remaining.
Kimo, and we saw Kimo be very conservative with his Ravage uses. There was lots of good plays coming out from Ace 12 on his Bane the last game. He managed to get control, always getting the grip onto Yona's Ember, and they just had no way of stunning in the backline. Like, they had Inkswell, but that required a hero to run up to the Bane. A lot of times, Ace 12 was right away from the tree line, so easy zips from the Timbersaw wasn't ideal. Marb's positioning wouldn't lend to, a lot of times wouldn't lend to a good boundless strike in there. And I think Lilgun just managed to play around their comfort heroes really well. Like, they had the Broodmother first phase, they had the TA come out from Sanctity, they knew how to work that to the max, even against certain counter picks. And I think in the end, IAP just kind of tunnel visioned up against countering the Brood, that the rest of their lineup weren't ready for the Bane, weren't ready for that TA, and Lilgun just managed to get off to a running start. So I'm keen to see IAP fix that up. They kind of correct here a bit, Mike. They do take out the Lycan and the Broodmother, so no Brood this time, but Lilgun will shake it up. They ban out the Lina and Weaver, and they go with Mars Io, which is a duo we've seen a lot of. That's a high sustain lineup on the offlane if you do run the Io 4. That's a lot of damage that comes through once he overcharges there. It's a very strong lane for Lilgun to just build up upon already.
Ten seconds remaining. 5 seconds remaining. Radiant team Dire team ban. Ten seconds remaining. 5 seconds remaining. Radiant team
It's just a great solid counter up against the Snap. So far, IAP are keeping it in. Keen to see Lilgun as well, banning out the Storm and the Tide. Actually respect banning that, despite Kimo not having the best showing, perhaps just expecting it to likely be the offlane Tide this time for S-God as a possibility, and that would be a bit more of a stable anchor for IAP to play with. Ravage combination as well, it's there.
5 seconds
so
remaining.
We'll see what else gets left in. I think that Nyx, as you said, Mike, IAP has to take care of it. And they do have first phase and the next pick phase, but when they have the ban and Snapfire, I don't think you really have room for it. And again, Lilgun, just respect banning the S-God heroes. Taking out that offlane Spirit Breaker that we know IAP love to run. So again, limiting their options to the offlane. They leave the Nyx. They land the Bloodseeker instead to secure the Pangolier pick. But if Lilgun wanted to, Mike, I think that's a great read. Like, you just go Nyx, you play with Vendetta, you relocate on top, 3 hero gank is there. Good way of stopping the kisses. Lilgun can just go back to it if Kishka wants to.
10 seconds remaining. 5 seconds remaining. Radiant team pick.
Grimstroke.
Ten seconds remaining. 5 seconds remaining. Dire team pick.
Ember Spirit.
Yep.
10 seconds remaining. 5 seconds remaining.
Yeah, I think for IAP, they might be a bit relieved because they still have the Bane to get the grip off onto the Ember. And as you said, the Mars could try to blink up and focus on the Bane. I'm not sure if you can always find that angle, as IAP also had that same sort of mindset where like, yeah, we can kind of take care of the Bane. We've got a Monkey King, we've got a Tide, and they just never managed to get a grip. So I'm keen to see if IAP will be able to protect their positioning on the Bane. That's likely our Kimo here as well. And if Kimo will have the same performance we saw Ace 12 have in that Bane, I think it's going to be really important for him to get that control onto the Ember. IAP, you go into the Invoker pick now, so they've got their own sort of global presence. The lane matchup against the Ember Spirit's not too bad as well. I think that's manageable lane for the Invoker. We've seen that many times, and it is a lane that you can be aggressive on as well if a support rotation comes out, and that's where IAP support shine. You've got Bane, you've got Snap. They can make some really impactful early movements out to mid if you want to pin that Ember down before he hits his level 6 spike.
Dire team ban. Ten seconds remaining. 5 seconds remaining.
Does feel like, again, Little Gun, I mean, they've had experience, right, in the upper div. They did get demoted, but they still were an upper div team. They climbed from the lower div last time as well. So they've got that potential every single time. I think that does mean that even though, you know, they're a relegated team, you have to respect that. And IAP, and they looked hot coming in from the closed qualifiers. They had decent performance in the open qualifiers number 2 as well. But it does feel like, despite them having those previous results in other tournaments, maybe the experience there is just not holding up, you know? I mean, the teams they might have played against in those tournaments were on a different scale, except for Execration.
10 seconds
Beyond
remaining.
that, I think there might be more that they need to dig into the pool here. So we'll see. I mean, with the Invoker out, you have a couple of combinations for IAP. Face's Void could be one choice, and we've seen Marb take it, and they banned a Wraith King on Lilgun, so a Void pickup could still come out for IAP. They've got the Kisses Chrono, they've got the Cataclysm as well. And that could be one way for IAP to go in. It's just a very wombo combo play. And I think when you've got a lineup that relies on one very strong teamfight combo, if you don't pull the teamfight off, your entire lineup just looks flat. So it's a bit of a risk if IAP do want to go for the Void play. But again, we've seen Marb play it out a couple of times now, and I think that might be what IAP is considering.
Radiant team pick. Dire team pick.
Faceless Void.
Yeah, that does happen. You know, internet connection with Australia can sometimes be shoddy, but I'm surprised Lil Gun went for the Void himself. Again, it's sort of soft banning it from IAP because their lineup's a very strong Void lineup. And that does explain the Wraith King ban as well, because, you know, Wraith King's one of the Void counters in a way that Reincarnation kind of forces the Void to make a choice with when to use that Chrono and when to focus the Wraith King. So you've already got a strong lineup on Lil Guns, and they don't have the best combinations with a Chrono, which can be concerning, but I don't think that's a big point. And IAP go into the Terrorblade instead, so they don't have the big combinations with the Kisses anymore, without Chrono on their side, but they've got a great target to pump out Alacrity onto, to buff up, to get some good spikes. The core-to-core matchup is tough for Void, but if Lilgun can play as aggressive as they did in Game 1, you know, a mix of patience while waiting for farm, and then just instant aggression once they hit some farm timings, I think they can overwhelm IAP. IAP, this is a much safer draft. They've got ways to be aggressive with Escod, and Matthew and the Snapfire can kind of work that lane together with Escod. They have to secure Marb's farm. Our Terrorblade's lane have something to block off relocate. So if you don't have glimpse, if you don't have X marks the spot, the IO saves will be really annoying to play into. But I think the issue for Lil Gun is that they have a void with no combinations in it, so that can fall flat as well. I think it's really even on drafts. I would lean towards IAP draft-wise, but I think Lil Gun has the capabilities to make that a non-factor. There's always the wild card factor of Morb's Terrorblade, which he does perform on, so a lot of back and forth.
Number 2, and we'll see if IAP can force us to a game number 3, or whether Lil Gun will be leaving tonight with a 2-0 victory against IAP. These team logos are very confusing for me, Jonathan, as well. They look so darn similar. They both have to go for a black and white logo.
Why, thank you. Why, thank you.
Could nobody get some color in there, John? Could you not just contact them? And you're an animator, John. You could get it done.
No, they want the black and white. They're all serious, all business, you know? I do miss the old Lil Gun logo. Remember, it was like that, what was it? Like a raccoon almost with a gun?
I liked it too.
Or something, right?
I liked
it was adorable. It was menacing and adorable. It made you kind of underestimate Lil Gun. Now they're all serious mode. This kind of reminds me of Team Faceless almost, the logo, right? Like if you remember that, the Singaporean stack with Isis Ice and black.
I remember.
It does remind me of that. And then, of course, the IAP logo is like a fork of Execration's logo with a skull. In fact, it does look like Execration's old logo. So, you know, just staying edgy there, staying, you know, fearsome with the logos, trying to send messages here back and forth.
You know, John, with these... Because yours. Just for these teams out there, you know, you want to secure your logos, just making it an NFT.
So.
John, you're a big fan of the NFT community as well. You'd be able to really tell them how to get it done.
Oh, sure am, Mike. Sure am. Big on the NFTs. But I don't think it's the same NFT that you're talking about. I don't think I can quite say what the acronym stands for me, but yes, let's see. We're breaking out here. The bounties are very even, Mike, to start. And the lanes will break out. We are seeing, again, our IO on the offlane. So the Mars IO combination that we've seen time and time again across multiple teams run. Tether to keep your bulky offlaner safe. Once you have overcharge, bump up his damage. They are up against Marb and Kimo on the Bane and Terrorblade. So again, Terrorblade should be able to hold the lane. We see that early refraction leveled up by Marb, as we tend to see from Terrorblades now going into lane. And that does mean you don't have that instant metamorphosis clear out the creep wave. And again, the emphasis here is on Kimo to zone them out, but looks like he's going to be coughing a little bit more. Remember, when you trade like this, the IO will always heal that Mars up very quickly. So you have to be careful how far you commit.
It's not necessarily a very fun lane for the Pos 5 Bane, because you just feel like you get nothing done with all the damage it can pump out. As you kind of mentioned, Kishka, as long as he's not the one taking too much damage, always just be able to passively keep 11 up. Because over in the mid lane though, John, you've got Sanctity against Yona. For now, Yona having a decent enough time, Sanctity doing the same. Do you give the advantage to one or the other here in this mid lane?
I think it's a very, very even lane, back and forth wise. Like, maybe Yona can play around with the Tornado. That's when you can kind of work it out, burn through that Flame Guard and take control of the lane. But if you don't manage to land it, Sanctity can just kind of dance around, build up, and run around from there. I think the key thing in this matchup is rune control. So Sanctity has a little bit more emphasis on early runes. Kind of ignore it, and that should give Sanctity maybe a little bit more leeway to keep topped up on the bottle and keep that laning presence up. Otherwise, very even. It's all down to plays, right? This is a very mechanics-based back and forth. If the Invoker can land his spells, he wins out. If Sanctity manages to dodge most of it and play with a Flame Guard, he's not going to miss out on too much as well. So, even lane heroes-wise, it's all down to how well either side pushes their hero to the limit.
Hear me out, John. I think Invoker's become too easy as the gone on. What if we reverted back to Dota 1 Invoke with like 28 spells? I think that's the way to do it. Just 27 spells and just let everyone just go ham. It doesn't matter if they're all useless. Who the hell cares? Just get it done.
Oh, I'd love to see it. You know, that was the time when the order mattered, right? When you invoked with the orbs. Yeah. Like the very specific order. Oh my god. I wouldn't even learn Invoker. I would just give up. I would just stop, Mike. I'd be done. I can't.
Amateur. Absolutely. I was back in those days, and I was playing Invoker when it first came out. I had to do it the hard way.
Oh, all right, Mike. No need to show off how old you are, Mr. Ancient Mike. Just because you look young doesn't mean you are young. Calling you out.
But of course, bot lane as well, you've got Matthew on the snap by with Escort on the Pango against 4-2-3 and Ace 12. This laning phase could be a little bit dangerous for IAP. Like, you do have time in the Ingswap combo. With the silence along with it, Escort or Matthew could be quite susceptible to getting caught out and just dying.
Yeah, it's not the easiest lane to actually be aggressive. Scott, Matt, you have good mobility jumping in, but because of the window of the time walk and because you've got the time dilation, it can be hard to spam out your spells. So it's ending up to be a bit more of a passive lane. You are getting decent CS on both sides, so you're not quite slowing down the Pangolier as well, but the important thing for Lilgun is just to get smooth right for the Void. It's always the laning phase that's hardest for the phase's Void, and so far there's just not enough pressure to make 4-2-3 think twice about his time walk use. Just very well protected, as you mentioned, with Inkswell, counterplay there. They can't really fully commit onto the Void. It just makes it very hard for I to find the angle. So the passive lane is really to the benefit of Lilgun. And as long as 4-3 manages to hit that Power Tread's Massive Madness timing, he's going to be able to keep up and farm down the line.
Oh? Bang for the cheeky ward, I think. We'll run into Sanctity there for a second, but doesn't end up dropping any wards in that triangle. Not quite yet anyway. Looking back up to that top lane, John Marps Well, Sanctity, he will be fine to just remain in the mid lane and keep that farm up. And in the meantime, you've got 11 and Kishka, who just continuously take that top tier 1 tower, and there is no defense coming. I mean, 4-2-3 is still well and truly.
And I think it's a bit worrying that sure your invoker is getting farm, but what do you really have to build up with these invokers? Say he rushes Ags, you don't have the combination for Cataclysm, so it's not going to be huge team fights. Maybe you can focus in on the Orchid build, although...
Oh, they're trying for the Fiend script, but no, it's too obvious. And now the relocate's coming in, right in onto Yona. Tornado is out on time, but the spear is off the mark. Yona now might try to turn back in onto Kishka, but they've already found Chemo on the Bane as Kishka is still trying to dance around. He'll get the tether off, back on the Mast, and they're relocating right back out as now Sanctity. He's been left behind, but he's got remnants to play with, or maybe not, but he's got Ace Talk to back him up. And now 11 shows up. They'll try for the Snapfire, but it won't matter because they got Yuna instead. Kimo still having that impact. See what they're going on to now. Well, Matthew, he'll get Cronon up along with Escort. They'll move back in onto the Pango, but now Marm shows up. A full 5v5 team fight in the mid lane. Kimo, he's got the Fiend's grip off, but it's doing absolutely nothing. 4-2-3 still alive. They can't get the kills off. No, he time walks back in. He's going to go for the kill on Marm, and he's got him. Oh, he gambles for the kill. Eventually, he will end up going down, and so does 11. But that's a very ballsy play from 4-2-3 to try and kill off Marv. I don't know if I can even call it worth, John.
To find out that it's a lot more than you'd want it to be. AP.
Play onto Sanctity. He'll have those remnants this time around to be able to make his escape. Still more heroes coming in to try and catch out this Ember. But consider the commitment to try and kill off Sanctity. Consider the fact that 4-2-3 and 11 are just farming across the map just fine. Zescon, he does spot out Sanctity, but they need some kind of stun to lock him down. Kisses around, but 11 showing up now with the relocate. They've got Escott, and what an arena round 11. He's caught 3 heroes. They're all trapped up. Mark, he's going to try and back himself out of there, but how can he? He'll try to sunder. Yona's shown up now as well, but another spear is going to land onto the Terrorblade of Marv. Just barely out of there, surely not, and he will eventually go down as 11 does finally drop, but now they can really clean up. And Sanctity, he has Kishka there to heal him back up. They'll go on to Yona. Yona does not want to die like this. Not on the Invoker, but it looks like he's got no choice in the matter. And Sanctity, no, he won't be able to get the job done. Not quite yet. Yona, he'll turn right back around. In the meantime, Matthew does secure a kill onto Kishka. And Sanctity, well, he needs his own escape plan, but he's not going to get it. Escott gets him completely blind. And in the end, going up.
For IEP. They still sacrifice their Terrorblade, but they are getting a lot more farm pouring through the rest of their sides, and they'll be able to find the bot tier 1 to equalize map control a bit. So it looked like good counter plays from Logan. It was still punished in the end, and it looks like the side of IEP now are ready to go on the offensive. They've got the smoke up, they've got the grip ready to go again on Kimo. No kisses out. If they could control, they should find another.
Ace 12 gonna get taken down. Escott having a much better game thus far here on the Pango, sitting at 6-2-1. Problem is, John, while all that was happening down at the bot lane, 4-2-3 and 11, they get started on the Roshan. And with that DD rune on 11, it's not going to take them too long. I don't believe IAP has any idea this is happening. And that'll be a pretty big loss here for IAP if they do get away with it.
3D coming out, 11 picks up Aegis as well. So Mars can really play on the front lines, not care too much about being focused down, and just kind of figure out the timing of his arena from there. The side of IAP, they're still in the game. You know, they're 2k behind, but it's not too bad. The big hurting point is still Mar, but they're trying to buy him space at least.
EMP, 11 gonna lose half his mana pool. Not too bad as now chains around. They got the spear again onto the Invoker. And Yona, he's a big kill again. That's about all they get. That's a great one to have here for Lilgun as Escott. He's going to show up, but chains around again at 11. He's not done yet. He's back in onto the Pango. They've got another. Surely he's trying to back up, trying to survive. The Nightmare even there, but it's just not enough as now they even found Matthew. Another kill onto another support. They'll get Matthew down. They'll go for another. Why not pick up Kimo as well? It's a 4-for-nothing trade. And it was all just one by IAP.
Yeah, they just run in. The fight was very staggered coming out from IAP. And Lil can just clean up. They're very confident with the Aegis up. They managed to clear out the mid-tier 1, so they have complete control of that top jungle if they want to drop the wards. While all of that happens, 4-2-3 just free farm.
But not anywhere near enough as Yona. He tried to help out, but now he's been targeted down. He is the prey as they will chain him up. Kimo, he'll move in with the Nightmare, and that might be enough to force them back, but they've got the arena. With the spear out, they've landed onto Yona. Absolutely. Was that arena first or Sentry Ward first, John? I didn't get to see which one was dropped first. That thought. 3 has been caught and does end up going down. So they do at least get a pretty big kill on the side of IAP. God, I wish we had an instant replay, John.
Oh man. Yeah, that was so well timed. I think the arena came first, then the sentry went down right after.
Wow.
But it felt like the spear was also instantly after arena. So it just felt like he knew where they were going, and now Escott.
Yeah, he's gone. 11, I mean, he has performed this game, John. 11 out of 10, I'd say. Excuse the pun. We do go mid lane. Matthew gonna get chains up. Sanctity, he's gonna be there, and Matthew, well, he'll try his best to run. A little shredder will take off the silence, but eventually Ace 12 will pick up the kill anyway. No problems here for Sanctity and Ace 12. They'll move right into that mid tier 2 tower now. IAP. We saw this last game, John. It's that mid-game timing that they don't seem to be able to put up with here against Lil Gun.
Dire's middle tower is under attack.
This is a very early timing to lose your mid tier 2 tower. Yona's trying to defend, but even the creep wave won't die. Back now, Kimo. Gonna get caught. Another nice spear there from 11. And that should be a nice, easy Bane kill here for Lil Gun. Question is, can he get it? Back to the mind getting out 11. He wants to keep going. He's got Mana again. Invoke. Still not a Bane. It does come out at the last moment. Wrong Thunder. It 11 does get the kill. Do his kill on base spot and go Kishka, but he's still alive and still just fine to go back in after 11 and heal him up, keep him healthy. It's Kimo. He did buy back into this team fight, but he can't get any. But they need more targets. Matthew will try to put himself out, but the Spirit into the team tower at 11. He doesn't know when to stop. The bottom though, he's dropping long stop, but he's getting up. He'll be fine for him spawn and get a reset. They might just keep it up.
Absolutely perfect.
Yes.
It's pure aggression from Lil Gun and IAP. They do not have an answer.
Yeah, they don't have the tools to come in. I think, again, what saw this draft point, we were expecting, Kimo maybe picking up some notes from Ace 12 with his positioning on the band. We haven't seen the big grips come true. We haven't seen that control come out the heroes that need to be held down, and it's just a matter of targeting. They have a lot more ways to stop the grip with the Void and with the Mars. There's just a little bit more stuns there to ensure that Kimo has a hard time to get the grip off. And for IEP, if they can't get that single target control off, the rest of your team fight falls flat. They just don't have the biggest AoE control. Maybe Tornado and Rolling Thunder can count, but it's not very reliable. They just don't have a way of keeping these heroes pinned down for them to just do damage. They have done a good job of getting Marp to recover here, Mike. He's managed to climb up, so he's top for his team. It's not like his team's very well farmed, though. They're all kind of tied in at 7.4 to 7.6k net worth on the 3 cores, whereas everyone else on Dota is just 1k ahead.
Matthew barely avoiding the chain down from Sanctity, but it may not matter as they've made the jump in. He'll try, but he's got no escape. The cookie was already expended in Sanctity. He'll take another kill on the Ember.
Absolutely.
So all they can do is just keep the bot lane pushed in and just hope that these objectives will not get touched here by Lil Gun, but I doubt that's happening.
Dire's bottom tower
We'll address
is
the
under
creep
attack.
wave, and they've already gone onto that tier 1. No creep wave necessary for this one. On lane though, Escort, he gets caught out. Sanctity, he does find him in time. He still has that Rolling Thunder to throw out, but the bashes are there. He has 0 time. It's Kimo, all he can do is sit there and watch his teammate die.
He just can't do much. He's got the TP out, please, so he can get out, but looks like he might want to play with a creep wave. It's a bit of a risk. Tier 1 tower is just going to fall. Push coming through here from Lil Gun, and they could make moves onto that tier 2. They don't have the protection of the Aegis anymore, but I don't think they really need it. They just got the damage to deal with it, and yeah, 11's just going to look to keep pressure. They take control of the triangle, cutting off even more farm from Marb, who's having to play up top in the long lane. A bit of a risk. No one there to punish. But shut down the parts of the map that IEP's not going to stand in and keep working while they're strong. It's that timing we talked about, except it came on much earlier for Lil Gun. It felt like it just came out from the lanes this time.
We'll just keep it up. 12k net worth advantage. When you look at Marb's net worth here on the TB, and it's just so abysmal right now. I mean, it's still 9k. He's just about to hit 9k, in fact. It's been such a slow process for Marb. And I can't quite blame him. I don't think this is really on him. He's got to find some space, but his team has been struggling to make it. As now Lil Gun will just run him down. They know he's in the triangle somewhere. We're trying to find a nice TP point, and he will go behind the tree line. Looks like he will make it this time around. Lucky for him, because Kishka and of course 11 were right around the corner. Does get out in the nick of time.
Manages to bail out, still trying to work as best as he can on the Terrorblade. Network gap between him and Sanctity's not too big now. Again, all the cores on IAP are kind of stuck within the same farm range. They are still behind compared to the cores on Lilgun, so they've got at least an item advantage coming through on Lilgun on every single core. They're just using that well. Next, Roche is a bit far off here, Mike, right around a 2-minute respawn. There's some breathing room here for IAP, but Lilgun still has control of the map. They really have nothing to be scared of. They take outposts, they secure the top jungle this time, and you can just patiently wait for Roche while keeping all the lanes kind of shoved in.
Absolutely. I mean, there's only 2 minutes away for the Roshan pit. Like, make that 1 minute 35. Hell, even the Roshan, I mean, they're just still going. Sanctity, he's got the Axe up, he spotted out Marb, he gets the double chains off, he found a 2-for-1 special, and they've got the reload kicked in. Marb just gets deleted by 11. Oh, it's gonna hurt, John. I mean, once you've got the Axe Ember, there's just no running.
No. He's just all over the map, and again, they're playing so well with how far they can jump, with all the angles they have for initiation. 11, he's got a casual reverb. He's so tanky and has a lot of damage, and have to be careful. Even your own high ground, you're not safe. It's a nice spear off. Oh, man.
I mean, this guy just doesn't miss. 11, he hasn't bought a blink dagger. He just doesn't need it. Meanwhile, bottom lane, they do at least kill off Sanctity, and 4-2-3 now. A big Chrono Helm. He's got 2 targets. Escott's gone, and Matthew, I'll see you later, sir. This is survival. A kill for 4-2-3, and I mean, you got the Ember, but what does it matter?
It's a nice kill, but you drop your heroes immediately, you kind of lose out in the netward swing anyway, and you're giving more onto 4-3-3. So our Void is starting to really build up. I love the build up here as well. BKB into Linken's. He knows that the grip's probably the only issue you're going to have to face here, maybe the Sunder. So he's going to be very protected in these team fights. And again, Lilgun here, Mike, have managed to wait out the Roche time. 10 seconds away, they still got control of a map. They can't look to play for the age, get the shard up, and keep running. It's just reasons for us. 32 to 15, 15k, 2 times kills here on Lilgun compared to IAP. They're still trying to bank on their Terrorblade, trying to bank on that farm for more, but it's just a long way off. Like, he's going into BKB, Dragonlance at 26 minutes in, only has... Oh.
Knows, John. He knows something is awry here, but luckily for him, again, 11 does not have the ping. You've got that coming for you, but Yona, no, he's going back for the wave. He does not see them at the moment, and the pings are out. They know exactly where Yona's gone, and 11 just runs right into him. He gets the Ghost Walk off. It just doesn't matter.
And while that's happening, of course, the Roche